First of all, gun violence in schools, that's a crime. And every American city would agree that they need help with gun violence. But when President Trump says he's cracking down on crime, whether cities want the help or not, how does he plan to tackle that specifically? Listen, we've been covering the president's focus on sending National Guard troops and federal agents to Democratic, black-led cities. And right now, it's D.C. But the president has his sights set on Chicago next. There's a debate over whether that's something Chicagoans want, and we'll talk about both sides of that in a bit. But to start, I wanted to ask this. Should the president instead turn his attention to something else? Because right now in Minneapolis, there's a community in a lot of pain. Children were killed in a shooting that targeted a mass at a Catholic school. That was a crime. One of at least 284 crimes of its kind, nearly 300 mass shootings so far this year. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive. This was the 44th school shooting of the year. That is a stunning number, and objectively, it's worth federal attention. So why did the president, who wants to end crime in the White House and also the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, why did the president, who wants to end crime, cancel millions of dollars in public safety grants, including money meant for gun violence prevention? Chicago is seeing a significant reduction in violent crime, but city and state leaders fear that blocking that money could actually fuel crime there. And it's not the kind of help that state leaders say they need or want.
So if that's the kind of help that they are offering, we don't want it. If they want to help release the $800 million of violence prevention funding that's owed to the state of Illinois.
There's a lot to talk about, and joining us today, Leo Smith, the former Minority Engagement Director for the GOP here in Georgia, Kasim Reed, the former mayor of Atlanta, and Jason Jolly, senior editor at Bossip. Welcome to you, gentlemen. And Mr. Mayor, let me start with you. Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, is clear he doesn't want this.
Yes.
The governor of Illinois says they don't want this. He calls it an invasion if they come into Chicago. What is the strategy from a mayoral position? What does he do? How does he prepare?
Well, I think the strategy is to keep your team focused on reducing crime. As you well know, and as you've talked about on this show, the crime trend in major cities is declining in double digits. So the mayors who've been attacked have put forth impressive results, both in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and certainly in Chicago. So these are the people who are tasked with getting the job done every single day. The trends are moving in the right direction. And rather than being able to focus on policing and reducing gun violence, they're now being attacked by the President of the United States and being used as a publicity stunt to distract from other issues, because none of them want this help. And at the same time, in the budget bill that was passed, dollars that would have gone to cities and states to reduce violent crime were cut to provide tax benefits to the wealthiest Americans.
Leo, the mayor says this is a publicity stunt. What do you think?
Well, I think there's certainly showmanship happening here with this presidency. I think we all know that. But it's also he made a campaign promise that he would do these things, and we're seeing the results of an election unfold, unfortunately. The other thing is we do have to deal with the reality, and I think collaboration is a reality that we must embrace. And so the mayors like Mayor Bowser in D.C., the idea of acknowledging what is real and then saying, I want to do this and more, is the right approach, I think, as we look forward to a president who is going to execute in the way he says he's going to do. This isn't going to stop.
Well, the interesting part to me is that when you talk to doctors, sociologists, people who actually study this issue, most of the things that they will say first that prevents crime is actually addressing the needs of the people. Economics, education, housing, healthcare, these are the type of things that can help bring down crime in any city. So it's interesting to me that he's choosing to go this route with the showmanship, with the National Guard, with the troops, as opposed to rolling out policies that can actually address the actual issues that cause the crime in the first place. Putting troops on the street and over-policing is not necessarily going to be a deterrent for the type of change that a lot of people are looking for.
So the president says that crime reduction is the goal, but CNN's analysis of the first couple of weeks, and I'm talking of D.C., of the takeover there, saw a moderate reduction in crime, but a more than tenfold increase of the arrest of people who are in the country illegally. Is this just an immigration effort dressed up in the rhetoric of anti-crime?
Well, if it is, it's very successful because certainly increasing arrests would suggest that you are actually being effective at dealing with issues on the street. And yes, Americans voted for Donald Trump to do something about illegal immigration. And so that group of people, half of America, that said yes to Donald Trump's leadership want to see these things happen.
But his approval rating on immigration has dropped consistently as the country has watched how he's executing this mass deportation. Let me show you some more numbers here. This is from an AP NORC poll, and I'm going to come to you, Mr. Mayor, on this. 81% of adults say that there is a major problem in big cities of crime. 68% of Democrats, 72% of independents, 96% of Republicans in the poll taken a few weeks into the president, this pivot now to crime. His rating, if we show here, let's go to the next graphic, his rating on approval of crime is higher among all those groups, and he's doing better on crime than his overall approval rating, his approval rating on the economy, his approval rating on immigration, Russia, Ukraine. And so is this, same question to you, immigration isn't working for him, so now let's just say crime and go in and continue mass deportation?
Well, Victor, here's what I think. I think the Republican base, a large part of it operates and has a need for issues that generate anger and energy. And so I think the president moves from issue to issue to try to generate anger. And so you look at a general crime issue, but factually in the cities, these leaders have been doing a strong job in delivering double-digit decreases. But this machine is going to be fed. So he moves from issue to issue to issue to feed the base. And by attacking cities with black leaders, it's consistent with feeding the base. So whether it's attacking a black woman at the Federal Reserve, removing Secret Service protection for Kamala Harris, which we'll discuss later, attacking Barack Obama, the machine of anger that drives the party right now has to be fed. And I think he's feeding it, and I think the American public needs to know that.
And I would add to that Trump's policies, in a lot of ways, in regards to the fueling that anger, it's kind of like someone who starts a fire and then goes to grab a fire extinguisher. You've caused a problem. You've taken away things. You've taken away funding. You've taken away things that could actually, again, address these issues. And then you send in troops and say, well, I'm the one who can fix this problem.
Leo, to you, the focus on gun violence. The president calls some of these cities killing fields. There was a mass shooting in Minneapolis this week. 2 children died. Many others were injured. But as Republicans focus on mental health as an issue, the president this year also canceled $1 billion that already had been approved by Congress and signed into law by the previous president to send in counselors, to send in psychologists, to focus on gun violence in schools. How do you do both and say I'm going to fight gun violence, but stop the investment on the mental health element that Republicans talk so much about as fueling some of these shootings?
Well, the president has clearly made a statement, and even globally when he said about his Middle East compadres that I'm not here to change their hearts. He is not a sociologist. He's not a psychologist. He's not operating like that. He's doing big stick politics. I'm going to hit you in the way that gets the most immediate reaction. And so therefore, he doesn't have a heart for society. And it's clear that he never promised that, and he's not doing it that way. So the NRA is an organization that I've done some work for because I believe in protection and provision. So while Americans embrace the ability to provide and protect for themselves and their families, we do need to get more sensible ourselves locally locally, because at the state level, Georgia's you don't have to have a license to carry in Georgia, for instance. So states can make laws locally, and I encourage people to get involved to make good laws related to gun safety in every state.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.